what does it mean to come back here and be able to play or just as an opponent tonight?
Yeah, AZ was good to me, but I'm way happier where I'm at now. It was good to see people. It was fun to play in front of some fans. But for me, I'm way happier in Indiana.
The Indiana Fever's road trip ended in disaster, with a brutal 95-60 blowout loss to Phoenix. 2 more key injuries hit the roster. And to top it off, Diana Taurasi threw shade in the post-game press conference. But Sophie Cunningham had the last word. In this breakdown, we'll cover what went wrong in Phoenix, Sophie's effort to carry the team, and most importantly, her explosive podcast comments revealing the truth about how Diana Taurasi really quit on the Fever. You won't believe what she said about professionalism and saying goodbye. If you stand with Sophie, drop a spicy Sophie in the comments. Let's go.
That had to have been one of, if not the most embarrassing loss of the season for the Indiana Fever so far. We lost to the Atlanta Dream earlier in the season, 77-58. We lost to the Valkyrie earlier in the season, 80-61. And tonight, against the Phoenix Mercury, we lose 95-60.
You knew something was wrong when the Fever couldn't hit water. If they fell out of a boat in the first quarter, shots clanged off the rim, passes got picked off, and Phoenix was pulling away before most fans had finished their popcorn. This wasn't just a slow start. It was a full-blown offensive collapse happening in real time. The numbers tell the ugly story every Fever fan wants to forget. Indiana shot a miserable 34.3% from the field, and a dreadful 7 of 30 from deep. Add in 22 turnovers that gifted Phoenix 42 points on a silver platter, and you've got disaster math. When you're giving the other team more points off turnovers than you're scoring from 3, you're in serious trouble.
Does this team practice? What I saw tonight looked like what I saw a month ago. Looked what I saw 3 weeks ago. Absolutely no offensive game plan. I thought this motion offense is when it's nobody's night in and night out. Everybody's allowed to have a night. If Kelsey Mitchell doesn't play well, it needs miraculous efforts from the rest of the team to pick this up. Sophie Cunningham played great tonight. Kelsey Mitchell had a bad game. Bad game. Where's everybody else?
But the real gut punch came when Sydney Coulson went down with a non-contact knee injury that left everyone holding their breath. Moments later, Aari McDonald began limping with foot pain, and suddenly, the Fever's already thin rotation got even thinner. Watching 2 key players go down in a blowout loss felt like getting punched while you're already on the floor.
Steph, obviously, Sid had that injury, and Aari left, I think, in the 4th quarter.
Yep.
Just what's the status of?
Well, it's Sid's left knee, Aari's right foot, and we'll get some more evaluation when we get home tomorrow and see where we are.
Phoenix controlled every part of the game, out-rebounding Indiana 44-32, and making the Fever look completely lost on both ends of the floor. Every possession felt like the Mercury were playing chess, while Indiana was still learning checkers. Phoenix's relentless defensive pressure created chaos the Fever never recovered from.
Sophie Cunningham making her return to Phoenix, and it seems as if nobody on our team other than Sophie Cunningham felt any type of emotional connection to this game. Tawana Bonner just got done doing your team absolutely dirty. You guys escape with a victory when they come to Indiana, and you wipe your hands of it like it's all over and finished with. No, it goes both ways. You don't think we want to beat her on her home court? You don't think we want to get a W for Sophie Cunningham, making her return to the team that she spent her whole entire career with up until this point?
Sophie Cunningham was the only Fever player who showed up ready to fight. She poured in 18 points on efficient shooting, while the rest of the team struggled to find any rhythm. Sophie battled tooth and nail to keep the game from turning into a complete humiliation. But one player can only do so much against an entire team. firing on all cylinders.
Sobley, tough shot. Wasn't square, and here comes Indiana. Cunningham, another three. Oh my goodness, Sophie Cunningham!
This game meant just as much to Sophie Cunningham as it did to the Indiana Fever when DeWanna Bonner made her return. The only difference is nobody on the Indiana Fever had Sophie Cunningham's back this time around. Sophie Cunningham was the only player trying hard, the only player giving effort, play in and play out. The only player getting into it with Alyssa Thomas, getting into it with DeWanna Bonner, getting into it with Kalia Copper, while everybody else just mailed it in. This game was embarrassing, folks.
The atmosphere inside the arena was bleak for anyone wearing Fever colours. You could see the frustration on fans' faces as the scoreboard grew uglier by the minute. What made it worse was watching the Mercury celebrate every basket and defensive stop like it was game 7 of the finals. This wasn't just a bad shooting night or a few unlucky rim outs, it was a total system breakdown that exposed just how fragile Indiana's depth becomes when injuries pile up. But the real drama came after the final buzzer. Diana Taurasi couldn't help herself after torching her former team for 23 points. Her post-game comments made it clear why the Fever are better off without her. She spoke about finding her edge and how emotionally charged her return felt. Like she just conquered Mount Everest instead of beating an injury-riddled roster.
DeWanna Bonner hit her first three-point shot in about 6 months and runs down the floor after losing her starting spot to Lexi Hull. Runs down the floor and calls Lexi Hull a bomb to her face. DeWanna Bonner is out here calling Lexi Hull a bomb to her face.
But here's what really went down. During those 40 minutes of basketball, Bonner got into multiple confrontations with Lexi Hull, staring her down after made shots, and getting chippy with Sophie Cunningham every time they shared the floor. She wasn't just playing basketball, she was putting on a show meant to humiliate her former teammates.
You know, it was, yeah, I don't know, emotions are kind of high. Honestly, it's just been a journey to get back to just being happy playing basketball again. Yeah, I'm just, the joy, trying to find that. For a minute, basketball was kind of like off the radar for me a little bit. I didn't know if I loved it anymore. Like, I had a long conversation with Alyssa, so just to feel that again, feel that energy, feel this from that building was just amazing. And I feel like it was a game that I needed to, you know, remind me like I love this.
Coach Nate Tibbetts couldn't stop praising Bonner's fire in his post-game interview. He went on about how her veteran experience had reawakened her competitive spirit, especially for this matchup against Indiana. The way he told it, you'd think Bonner had been storing up months of energy just for this one night. Phoenix treated the game like personal business, not professional basketball, and Bonner was right at the center of it all. Trash talk, theatrics, and non-stop celebrations. Every bucket came with a stare down. Every defensive stop with another round of jawing at the Fever bench.
Look at Bonner. And Cunningham's kind of got that innocent who me grin going, and nobody's buying it.
Wow, what a steal by Bonner, stepping right into it. And Sophie knows that doesn't want to create anything more. A little holding on. You think this is becoming a rivalry?
Oh, they're letting her have it now. They gave Cunningham a big ovation before.
You could see the massive difference in how both teams carried themselves. After the final buzzer, Phoenix was busy celebrating and taking verbal shots at their opponents, while Indiana huddled together, trying to regroup Instead of trading insults, the Fever players checked on their injured teammates and talked about bouncing back from adversity.
For sure. I mean, it sucks, right? You don't ever want to see anyone be injured on any team. I feel like there's been a lot of injuries this year in the W, harsh ones, I think. And, it's just another one. And Sid is still the heartbeat of our team. She's going to be okay. Our team's going to be okay. And again, it's just another hurdle that we're going to have to get over.
Bonner's performance felt less like genuine basketball excellence and more like someone desperate to prove a point to people who'd already moved on. Every celebration came with extra flair, while the Fever were focused on Sydney Coulson's knee injury. The contrast between the two locker rooms said it all. Indiana spoke about unity and resilience, while Bonner and the Mercury acted like they just won a championship against a short-handed team. Her 23 points couldn't hide the attitude that reminded everyone why she never fit Indiana's team-first culture. But Sophie Cunningham was about to drop some truth bombs that put the entire situation into perspective.
Did you see that when DB came back and played for us, that they got mad that our fan base was booing her?
I don't believe in booing former players unless they left on like some F you type shit.
Sophie Cunningham took to her podcast and finally revealed the truth about how Dana Bonner really quit on the Fever. And it was worse than anyone imagined. She began by giving Bonner her flowers, calling her a Hall of Fame caliber player who was clearly unhappy in Indiana. But then came the bombshell that changed everything about how fans now view Bonner's departure.
I like DB. Because like DB was one of my vets when I was in Phoenix, and then we gathered here into Indiana, and like it was kind of a surprise that she was signed to Indiana anyway, and so we'll take her in a heartbeat. Like she's a Hall of Famer, she's a hell of a basketball player, can score from anywhere on the court.
According to Sophie, Bonner didn't even send a simple text to her teammates when she decided to leave the team mid-season. Think about that. Months of practicing, traveling, and bonding together, only for her to vanish without so much as a goodbye.
But she got to Indiana and she just like really wasn't happy. And like I want people to be happy. So that's why I'm kind of like neutral on this one, which a lot of people are surprised about. She's towards the end of her career, so like she deserves her flowers. She deserves to be happy. But I also think that if you're gonna leave, like you're gonna have to expect getting bit. Like,
was there explanation when it happened? No. Not even privately? Yeah, I mean, okay. That's tough. And, yeah, okay. Well, I did say what? Unless you leave on some fuck you type shit, and that's what that is, so.
yeah.
Sophie made it clear this wasn't about basketball strategy or on-court disagreements. On her podcast, she explained that a simple goodbye text could have prevented all the awkwardness and drama that followed Bonner's exit from Indianapolis. Instead of showing basic professional courtesy, the team got complete silence from someone they believed was a veteran leader. Sophie's revelation painted Bonner as someone who simply vanished, showing little respect for the relationships she'd built along the way.
Like, I'm still rooting for her. Like, I want her to end her career and be happy. But I also think that, like, it's okay to be professional about it. And, like, send a text to your teammates. Send a text and be like, hey, like, love you guys. Or you don't even have to say love you guys. Just like, hey, sorry this didn't work out. Good luck. Da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? Like, there's a way to handle that, I think.
Sophie's comments about accountability and leadership hit differently because she's been the one carrying this team's emotional load while Bonner's been busy making excuses elsewhere. You could hear the frustration in Sophie's voice as she explained what real professional courtesy looks like. It wasn't petty or personal. It was about basic respect between teammates.
I doubt DeWanna Bonner had any idea that how dirty she did her teammates on her way out of Indiana would ever come out to light. But Sophie Cunningham said, hold my beer. I got a podcast. I got this platform. I'm going to speak my mind. I'm not going to toe the company line. I'm not going to protect narratives. I'm not going to follow agendas. I'm going to tell you how it all went down. And DeWanna Bonner disappeared like a ghost.
This revelation completely reframed Bonner's Phoenix performance. It wasn't a redemption story. It was a petty revenge game against teammates she couldn't even text goodbye. Sophie's honesty exposed the real difference between someone who stands by her team through adversity and someone who disappears when things get tough. While Bonner celebrated herself, Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hull, and the Fever's core showed what loyalty really looks like. Sophie's 18-point effort in a blowout loss proved her heart and determination. She could have checked out when things got ugly, but instead, she fought until the final buzzer.
Rimming out. Cunningham picks up the board. Here she comes. Sophie steps into the three.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Is loving being in Indianapolis. She loves this team. She's feeling it on these.
Cunningham hesitates. Ball on the deck. Sweet dish inside for Timpson.
The injuries to Sydney Carlson and Ari McDonald could have been the perfect excuse for the Fever to fall apart and start pointing fingers. Instead, they rallied around each other, checking on injured teammates during timeouts instead of sulking about the score. That's the difference between players who care about the team and those who only care about their own stats. Lexi Hull standing up to Bonner's stare-down showed exactly what kind of backbone this young Fever core has. She didn't flinch against a veteran trying to intimidate her in her own building. Hull matched Bonner's energy and made it clear, this team won't be pushed around by anyone, no matter how long they've been in the league. The contrast between Bonner's personal celebration and the Fever's team-first mentality said everything about culture. One side was chasing revenge. The other was checking on injured teammates and staying united through adversity. That difference matters far more than any single game result. It's the difference between playing for yourself and playing for something bigger.
Phoenix doing a nice job on the boards. We talked about that, leading by 10.
Wow.
7-17.
You look at all the stats that you love as Cunningham buries,
Staying hot.
buries another triple.
It's a tough call, and here's going to see the shot by the three-pointer against Copper.
Sabley, top shot. Wasn't square, and here comes Indiana. Cunningham, another three. Oh my goodness, Sophie Cunningham!
The fan base has fully embraced this current Fever squad because they represent something Dana Bonner never did during her time in Indianapolis: genuine commitment. These players aren't looking for the exit when things get difficult. They're building something sustainable instead of chasing personal validation. Even without Caitlin Clark on the court, this core has preserved the identity and values that make the Fever special. They play with passion, support each other, and represent the city with pride every single night. The Phoenix loss stung, but it also proved that Indiana's foundation isn't built on players who quit when things get tough. With Caitlin Clark's return on the horizon, this adversity could become the spark for something much bigger. The blowout in Phoenix exposed the Fever's weaknesses, but it also revealed the heart of their true leaders. Sophie Cunningham's honesty about Bonner's unprofessional exit reminded everyone that sometimes the best thing that can happen to a team is losing the wrong players. The Fever's loyal core has been tested by injuries, losses, and drama, yet they're still standing together, while their former teammate celebrates beating an undermanned squad. That difference in character is what's going to matter most when it counts.